In Paraguay, polling stations began to close as of 4 p.m. local time. Those still in line at the time will have the opportunity to exercise their right to vote in Sunday's general elections. In Ukraine, former Prime Minister Nikolai Asadov denounced NATO for sending his country obsolete or faulty weaponry to further its own agenda. And in Sudan, warring sides announced a new extension of the truce for 72 hours while the country's health system faces a critical situation as a result of the conflict. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Paraguay, polling stations began closing at 4 p.m. local time. Vote counting is underway in Sunday's general elections where citizens elect their representatives for the next 5 years. Sources reported long lines at polling stations. Authorities said those still in line will be able to exercise their right to vote. Electoral authorities also denounced the misuse of the assisted vote. Local sources registered quarrels, incidents, and complaints due to large crowds of voters at several polling stations during the day. However, Police Commander Gilberto Fleitas assured that the elections took place in a general context of normality. According to reports, there have been delays of about 1 hour in the voting process. Preliminary results are expected soon and the final tally by the end of the day. Earlier on Sunday, the opposition candidate for the presidency of Paraguay for the Concertación Party, Ephraim Allegre, exercised his vote in the city of Lambarre, accompanied by Soledad Núñez, who aspires the vice presidency of the country. Allegre pointed out that according to reports, numerous voting centers had a massive turnout of citizens.
We have reports from many polling places where before the opening at 7 in the morning, there were already lines of 3 or 4 blocks long. When we was up in Pedro Juan, there was a massive turnout of people. That is to say, we are in a great civic celebration where the citizens are determined to participate and vote. So we are going to have a great citizen participation.
For his part, the candidate for the presidency of Paraguay for the ruling Colorado Party, Santiago Pena, voted in the city of Asunción and called for the consolidation of the democratic model in the country.
I'm an heir of a democratic model. In 1989, I was only 10 years old, and I dreamed to be part of a generation that can consolidate democracy in Paraguay. I'm really very excited to see the lines here full. It is great. I hope it continues all day long. I'm an heir.
A three-day official visit to Spain on Tuesday, the government house confirmed on Sunday. The agenda of his visit, which will last until next Friday, May 5th, includes meetings with the head of the Spanish government, Pedro Sánchez, and King Philip VI. According to international media reports, in addition to this diplomatic agenda, he will address the Congress of Deputies and visit the Madrid City Hall. He will also hold a meeting with the Colombian community in Madrid, several events and meetings with international investors, and a conference at the University of Salamanca. According to official information, the visit has bilateral and multilateral significance and comes at a time when Spain is about to assume the presidency of the Council of the European Union. On Sunday, the people of Venezuela commemorate the 4 years of the failed coup d'etat led by the opposition Juan Guaidó. The first vice president of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, highlighted the role played by the National Armed Forces in conjunction with the state security forces, which contributed to maintain peace and defense of the country. Diosdado Cabello recalled that the people were the key to the accompaniment and protection of President Nicolás Maduro. The socialist leader pointed out that the failed coup maneuver attempted by that former extremist sector of the opposition now wants to be measured at the electoral level. Diosdado Cabello stated that this sector of the right wing will not govern the people who have bravely endured sanctions and blockades.
I believe that April 30 is the dawn of the loyalties, of the loyalists, of the loyal ones, but it's also the dawn of the traitors, to point them out, to identify them, and for history to describe them and say, where are the traitors today? Where are they? They are out there. Imperialism protects them, and now One can ask, where are the loyalists and where are the loyalists of that day? Here, we are in our homeland. From here, we have no left, and we are not going to leave because we are going to defend the homeland from here.
Cuban authorities announced on Sunday that the May 1st celebration across the nation are postponed to Friday, May 5th due to the weather conditions. The official statement based the decision on the weather instability that has caused heavy rains in several territories on Sunday and on the forecast for the coming hours. The official celebration has been now rescheduled to Friday, May 5th. The note also announced that there will be a work recess on Friday so that all Cubans can participate simultaneously in the celebration parade throughout the country. The president of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, confirmed the news on his Twitter account, highlighting that it's not a cancellation but a postponement of the activities, adding that on May 5th, the call continues for Cubans to commemorate Labor Day. Everything is ready in Cuba for the start of the International Tourism Fair, the most significant professional event held annually by the tourism industry in the largest Antillean island. The event's website highlights that this year's edition, Fit Cuba 2023, will be held from May 1st to the 5th in Havana, a city that holds the title of Wonder City of the Modern World, awarded in 2016 by the Swiss foundation New Seven Wonders, thanks to its mythical attractiveness and the charisma and joviality of its inhabitants. Currently, Havana receives thousands of visitors from all latitudes who come to enjoy its magic and its captivating cultural and patrimonial richness. The event will show through the infinite goodness of the destination that Cuba is unique. Fit Cuba 2023 has culture and heritage as its center, and according to the program on the official website, on May 1st there will be the reception at the fairgrounds for the guests of the Ministry of Tourism. The venue will be the Moro Cabaña Park. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at teleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. About 13,000 customers are without power today in Florida due to devastation caused by a tornado whose winds hit north of Miami, according to the Power Outage U.S. site that tracks outages in the United States. Damage is widespread in the Palm Beach Gardens area, where residents were forced to seek shelter as a result of the strong winds that hit the region the day before. Their branches flew dangerously in the wind, and trees collapsed on vehicles in the Sanctuary Cove neighborhood near North Palm Beach. The roof of an apartment building blew off and damaged homes and cars was also reported. The newspaper added, the National Weather Service said the tornado had an estimated wind speed of at least 160 kilometers per hour. The United States registered more than 1,000 tornadoes a year, more than any other country in the world, as its geography and climate make it particularly susceptible. On Sunday, Pope Francis meets with academics and cultural figures at Peter Pazmani Catholic University in Budapest as his last stop on a three-day visit to Hungary. The last meeting of the Catholic Church leader was addressed to representatives from the academic and cultural world at the private Catholic university. The Pope called on Hungarians to be open to immigrants in the framework where this Central European country, whose nationalist prime minister has taken a firm stance against immigration. In his three-day visit, Francis has emphasized a welcoming stance towards those fleeing poverty or conflict zones. In Ukraine, former Prime Minister Nikolai Asadov denounced that NATO was sending his country outdated or defective weapons in order to favor its own agenda. Asadov denounced that NATO continues to promote itself through its military aid to Ukraine, while in reality it is sending inoperable military equipment to the nation. As an example, the Ukrainian politician cited the 20 M109 self-propelled howitzers that Italy delivered to Kiev this month, not a single one of which, he said, was combat-ready. The former official stressed that the United States has also failed to provide Ukraine's military with long-range missiles and F-16s. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in an interview on Friday that the more weapons the West supplies to Kiev, the more lives will be saved. Moscow has repeatedly denied this, pointing out that arms deliveries multiply casualties and delay the end of the conflict. Russian Defense Ministry on Sunday confirmed that Russian forces destroyed a railway echelon with up to 200 tons of Ukrainian munitions in the Donetsk People's Republic. According to the chief spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense, Igor Konashenkov, the munitions were destroyed after an attack on a freight train at a railroad station near the city of Kramatorsk. Konashenkov added that Russian forces attacked the command post of the 81st Air Mobile Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, located in the Belogorovka region. The government official also stated that after an artillery attack, the Russian forces dismantled a radar station in the Kherson region. Voters across Central Asia and Uzbekistan went to the polls Sunday in a constitutional referendum that could allow President Shavkat Mirziyoyev to run again for office after 2 consecutive terms. The proposed changes include 27 more articles together with amendments that would renew, if approved, 65% of the Magna Carta. President Mirziyoyev said the overhaul of the constitution will improve governance and quality of life in the landlocked country of 35 million people. According to figures from the Central Election Commission, over 19.7 million people were eligible to participate in the constitutional referendum in the more than 10,000 polling stations opened nationwide.
Regarding labor standards, a very big innovation is being created. We can talk about gender equality. We know that pregnant women and women with minor children have faced problems such as layoffs, difficulty finding employment, and low wages. Our amended constitution will put an end to these problems.
The proposals in the referendum show a dialogue with the people. Our president has studied the shortcomings in the lives of the people, what they suffer from, what they lack, what innovations are needed to live happily. All of this is done based on the wishes of the people.
Vietnam commemorated on Sunday 48 years of the defeat of U.S. imperialism. On June 1969, the National Front for the Liberation of South Vietnam, together with other political and social organizations, convened a Congress of Representatives from the South. This Congress gave rise to the creation of the Provisional Revolutionary Government of the Republic of South Vietnam, which played a decisive role in the formation of revolutionary power in that area of the country. The end of the Ho Chi Minh campaign in April 30, 1975, marked the conclusion of a brilliant military operation by the armed forces and the Vietnamese people under the leadership of the Communist Party. As a result of the campaign, the U.S. imperialism was defeated in what has been characterized as the greatest military and political disaster in its history. teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat, dial 461 and enjoy Latin American alternative broadcasts. One final short break, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Humanitarian assistance is steadily arriving in Syria from several countries to help the Syrian population overcome the aftermath of the war and recent earthquakes. In this regard, more than 270 tons of Russian humanitarian aid arrived aboard 10 planes, and the military of this Eurasian nation began to deliver them to those affected. In this regard, 5 tons of food, mainly rice, sugar, tea, milk, and oil, were delivered to the villagers of the town of Sanabariye in the province of Latakia. The villagers of the town of Kelekile in the northern province of Sweden also received baskets with food. For its part, Latakia Governorate received a new batch of aid offered by Pakistan and includes 24 containers of supplies and food. The Jordanian embassy disclosed that his country sent 10 trucks with humanitarian, medical, and food aid. Also, according to the report of the Higher Relief Committee, the number of registered families left homeless due to this natural disaster reached 91,794. with 412,304 individuals. In this context, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad urged to abandon trade in dollars and proposed to replace the U.S. currency with the Chinese yuan. The Syrian leader said the war between the West, led by the U.S. and sovereign countries, is mainly economic, and he said it is necessary to get rid of the shackles of trading in the U.S. dollar. In a meeting on Saturday with the Chinese government special envoy for Western Asia, Tsai Jung, the Syrian head of state, considered that this initiative has a greater future and will strengthen multilateral cooperation. Al-Assad added that the Chinese presence in the political and economic areas may rebalance the global situation, taking into account the Russian-Chinese relations and the BRICS alliance in terms of constituting a strong international space capable of creating a multiple world order. On Sunday, a bus carrying military personnel in Turkey overturned in the district of Cernak, local media reported. The country's Ministry of National Defense said 2 soldiers died and 4 were injured in the accident. The government agency stressed that 4 injured were transferred to a hospital for treatment. Firefighters and medical and army teams were sent to the site of the accident. A statement from the Turkish Armed Forces expressed its condolences for the 2 dead compatriots and wished a speedy recovery for the injured. Palestinians attended protests on Sunday in support of Qadar Adnan, a hunger striker in an Israeli jail. The man was held in front of Red Cross headquarters in Gaza City. Adnan, 45 years old, a leading figure of the militant Islamic Jihad group in the northern occupied West Bank, has been on hunger strike for more than 80 days. He was arrested by Israeli forces at his home near the city of Jenin on February 5th, according to the faction. He is being held in administrative detention, a controversial Israeli measure under which people are detained without charge. The Palestinian Prisoners Club said Thursday that his situation was very serious and called for Adnan's release in light of the dangerous state of health he is in. Sudanese warring parties announced on Sunday a new truce extension for 72 hours. The so-called Rapid Support Forces informed on Twitter about the unilateral truce extension effective as of midnight this Sunday. The decision followed international, regional, and local appeals to open human corridors, facilitate the movement of citizens and residents, as well as allow them to meet their needs and reach safe areas. The paramilitaries stated their strict commitment to the declared humanitarian truce and full ceasefire. Sudan has been the scene of clashes between the country's army and Rapid Support Forces since April 15th. According to the Sudanese Ministry of Health, the conflict has left more than 520 dead and some 4,600 wounded. The extension of the truce comes at a time when the country's healthcare system is facing a critical situation as a result of the conflict. According to the head of Sudan's Human Rights Commission, Refat Merghani Abbas, hospitals are under fire because they have become the battlefield of both sides. The authority added that medical staff work in extremely difficult conditions, coupled with a lack of necessary medicines and obstacles to the movement of ambulances. The Chinese military completed the mission of evacuating Chinese nationals from Sudan. According to Tang Keifei, spokesperson for the Ministry of National Defense, 940 Chinese citizens and 231 foreigners were carried by Chinese naval vessels out of Sudan to the Saudi Arabian port of Jeddah in 2 evacuation operations from Wednesday to Saturday. The evacuation took place amid reported fighting between the Sudan Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces on Saturday, including a major battle involving heavy weapons and armed vehicles in the Halfaya neighborhood in Khartoum. We have come to the end of this newspaper. From you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.